Oh, yes. Now, nothing says Milwaukee like a tailgate with some brats and Miller Park with some baseball. The Marlins, the home team for this weekend, displaced by Irma. Marlin fans are here. Even some of those were out with a little tailgate action as the Marlins and the Brewers play a 3-game weekend series. Oh, look at that. They are not rolling out the barrel. They're rolling out the welcome mat here in Milwaukee, even dressing up center field for the Miami Ball Club. Rich Waltz along with Todd Hollinsworth. For the Marlins, look, they're here. These are home games for them in terms of being the home team. But
sure,
this is a tough environment to play in. And Miami's looking for anything to stop this snowball from rolling downhill.
Well, here's the great news. You got a lot of things lined up in your favor today if you're a Marlins fan. Yes, this is an extended road trip. Yes, it's an extended homestand for the Brewers. But you got your guy Urena on the mound tonight. He's been outstanding in starts like these. This team really needs a great one from him tonight. He's been so good. You've got a couple of guys in this lineup who have hit really well at this ballpark. You hope it all comes together. Remember, the outfield had the day off yesterday. Everybody maybe wakes back up again and takes it to this brew crew because they're fighting for a playoff spot.
Let's take a look at one of those guys you talked about, and that's Marcell Ozuna. In this ballpark, it has been a magical ride for him.
Yes, he's definitely had great swings here. Seized the ball well. Had a good conversation with him during batting practice, and the smile came out. You know, that big wide smile. Lots of teeth from Marcell Ozuna because he loves to hit here. 9 home runs and 14 RBIs. Look at it. 4 of his last 8 hits are home runs in this ballpark. 16 games. That's it. Remember, he only comes to Milwaukee, well, what? In a normal year, once a year. This is a special year. This is like Christmas morning for Marcell Ozuna. He gets to come twice.
And we didn't even show all 9 of his home runs here in 16 games, just 6 of the 9. And so there's a little bounce in the step of Ozuna here tonight. You talked about Jose Urena. Look, he wasn't even in the rotation when the Marlins started the season in April. But now that he's in it, he's been the Marlins' most consistent and most effective starter.
Well, he certainly has. Outstanding on the road, 9-1, great record there. 177 batting average against. That's 3rd in baseball. How outstanding is that? Guys just don't hit him on the road. Those things add up. You use the word stopper. That's what he's become. Well, guess what? The Marlins need for him to stop this losing streak and go out and have one of his outstanding starts. Look for that 2-seamer. It's been such a big pitch for him here in the second half. I think it's going to be a big pitch tonight.
And you're right about these Brewers. They're right on the tail of the Cubs in the Central, of the Rockies in the wild card. Craig Counsell has been mixing and matching. In fact, tonight, for the 3rd time in about a week and a half, it's a bullpen game. The Brewers have 12 arms in that bullpen, and they're going to use a lot of them tonight against the Fish. What's it like being at home on the road? Well, the Marlins are about to find out. We'll hear from the Marlins clubhouse when we return. Oakland folks here, as well as Jessica Blaylock, who's down below. Hi, Jess.
Hey, Rich. Well, the Marlins certainly weren't expecting to be in Milwaukee this weekend, but because of Hurricane Irma, this 3-game series against the Brewers is now being played here at Miller Park. And for the Fish, it is a little bit different to be the home team on the road.
Yeah, this is the first time in my career that I'm doing this. Circumstances take us here. It's going to be as another road game. It's the same preparation because we came to the ballpark at the same time. We're going to hit BP at the same time. The only thing is we're going to hit last if we're losing the game, or we're not going to hit in the 9 if we're winning. So that's going to be an advantage for us because we're playing as a home team. But that's nothing that is changed in terms of preparation.
I'll definitely have to remember that I'm going first tomorrow, so that'll definitely be a change. I've never done this before, but again, we play baseball every day, so to me, that's not going to be a big adjustment. I probably won't even cross my mind, honestly. Just a unique situation, honestly. From what I've heard, which isn't much, is that I guess the city of Miami is just not really in a great position to house a visiting team, hotels, power, all those types of things. So here we are.
Oh, it gives the last at bat. Obviously, if you get into the late innings, I feel like in a tie game or something, you have an advantage. You're going to get the last at bat, which is always, always good. But other than that, I don't think it changes a lot. We're hitting in our same slot, BP, and it'd just be like we're the home team.
And the Brewers doing what they can to make the Marlins feel at home. There are some palm trees, some flamingos, and some seashells out in center field. And according to team president David Sampson, the Marlins, as of right now, are supposed to head back to Miami for that 3-game series against the Mets. When we return, it is first pitch between the Brewers and the Marlins. The Big Bats back in the lineup, and Jose Urena on the mound for the Fish.
Fox Sports Florida is brought to you by the all-new Jeep Compass. By Supercuts, save time. Check in online with our mobile app or at supercuts.com. By your local Toyota dealers, let's go places. And by Southwest, transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. Miller Park roof is open. Weather terrific today, and it should be tonight and tomorrow as well. Now, the Marlins are the home team. There is limited seating available for this ball game. And here are the visiting Brewers, brought to you by Southwest. Eric Sogard leading it off at shortstop. Neil Walker, acquired after the Marlins came through here. He's at second base. Ryan Braun, of course, the legend. Travis Shaw is having a dynamite year at third. Domingo Santana in right. Eric Thames had that big April. Stephen Vogt hit 2 big homers against the Fish here. Brett Phillips, a rookie, getting a taste of the big leagues. And Jeremy Jeffress, this is a bullpen game. Jeffress is making his first major league start. And Jose Urena is making his first career start against Milwaukee.
That's right. The Milwaukee Brewers have not seen him this year. He's been outstanding for the Marlins. You see the great record, 13-6. 12 of those wins come after a loss. He's been so good of late. 9-1, 4.09 ERA on the road. And guess what? The Marlins score runs behind him. 88 runs scored on the road. That's 7.3 runs of support in those games. That makes that 9 wins make sense. 6-2, 3.12 ERA over his last 10 starts. Urena locked and loaded right now.
He buries a changeup to Eric Sogard, who has been part of the success story here in Milwaukee. The Brewers are where they are because a lot of guys have had, I don't want to say career years, but either bounce back years or are starting to emerge as major leaguers. Sogard getting a chance to play as a regular really for the first time in his career has hit, and that has surprised some people, but others have felt, Craig Counsell included, that there always was a pretty good hitter in there. He just never had that opportunity. Pulls that one to the left of Gordon. D gathers it in and whips it to first in time. The Marlins have the best fielding percentage in the National League.
That's exactly right. 988. Only committed 64 errors, fewest in the majors. And here is your Marlins defense. Marcell Ozuna gets the start in left field. Christian Yelich, Giancarlo Stanton back in right. Anderson, Rojas, Gordon, Justin Bour, JT Realmuto behind the plate for Urena.
Don Mattingly and the Marlins trying to shake off not only this long run of losing, but the last 2 ball games in particular, in which the Marlins were flat out not competitive against the Philadelphia Phillies. Marlins were down 9-0 yesterday in the second inning. Here's Freddie Gonzalez to the left of Mattingly. And Neil Walker, familiar face for the Marlins, not only a Pittsburgh Pirate, but of course a New York Met for a while as well.
Now Neil Walker's, he's appeared in 25 games with the Brewers, making his 23rd start. 260 batting average, 3 homers, 8 RBIs. So he's been fairly productive getting on base. And the switch hitter has done it from both sides of the plate.
He's got a 3-0 count. The capacity here tonight is going to be right around 23,000. Just the first 2 decks. Outside corner from Urena. They had 19,000 sold before the game. Now remember, the Brewers didn't know they were going to host these games until a couple days ago. Actually about a day and a half ago. Hit hard and into right, and that's a base hit for Neil Walker. In fact, the Brewers organization brought in some concessionaires from Buffalo, brought them in on a bus just to work the weekend series. Nobody was scheduled to work here as of a day and a half ago.
Well, certainly some enthusiasm for this ball game tonight. It makes sense. The Brewers are playing well. And Neil Walker has the Brew Crew off and running. Base hit here in the first inning.
Ryan Braun now, the former Miami Hurricane, who has had such a long and successful career here. He's the franchise leader in a lot of categories, including home runs. His 11th season as a Brewer.
He's only made 84 starts this year. He's had injuries. Left calf strain has limited his production. His 39 games with that calf strain 2 different times on the DL. 0 for his last 7. So those career numbers did just pick up home run number 300 about a week ago.
Walker not a big lead, not a threat to run. Braun a little chopper over the mound. Rojas quickly to first, just in time to get Braun. This is a slow infield grass. It's central cut. You find it in the National League and in the American League. These teams in the central, the middle of the country, usually have a lush infield grass.
Yeah, a little bit slow right there, but Rojas all over it. He realizes from the get-go there's only one play. Come get the baseball and throw to first. He does just that. Quick exchange, quick toss, and Braun is down. Walker moves up to second base.
A lot of players weren't on the radar of the national scene when this thing started for the Milwaukee Brewers, and here's a guy that has put himself on the radar by having a really nice year both at the plate and at third base defensively.
Well, yeah, he's taking it to another level. 90 RBIs on the season, one of their big run producers. In fact, leads the team in RBIs. Brewers Player of the Month, May, June, and July. That certainly should tell you something. He's been slowed a little bit here of late. Still looking for his first hit since returning home last weekend. Did you see the production? 872 OPS.
This is a guy that the Red Sox always liked. Drafted him twice, and he signed with them when they took him in the 9th round in 2011. He was with Boston last year, played in 145 games, hit .242 with 16 homers in 71 runs driven in. He's blown past that quite easily.
Well, he was given a primary role here with the Brewers. Not that he wasn't an everyday player. I'm just kind of talking about the makeup of the team.
2-0 to Travis Shaw, and Urania misses out. We count 3-0.
Well, Urania pitching wisely. We talked about the run production for this team. What are the Brewers? They do hit for an awful lot of power. They do steal bases. They don't create runs necessarily as much as maybe other teams do, but they do possess a lot of power in this lineup.
Travis Shaw walks. It'll bring up Domingo Santana. It is a kind of an odd mix. You don't necessarily see high home runs with high stolen bases, but there they are tied with Cincinnati for stolen bases and third in the National League. 204 home runs.
Right.
The other thing that they do a lot of is strike out more than anybody in the National League. And Thames, one of those guys, he's on deck. Santana digs in. Runners first and second. Urania in the top of the first here in Milwaukee. He misses with a fastball.
Well, Santana leads this team in on-base percentage, .368, hits, .131, runs scored as well. Second in RBIs. He's been a major contributor. Brewers fans would tell you one of the big reasons this offense has been so good this year. Players like Santana have stepped into premier spots in this lineup.
Deep in the hole, Rojas sweeps it on over to Gordon in time, and Urania's through that first. Hey, bottom of the first, the home team's up, including Giancarlo. First, yes, Marlins are the home team. Although I haven't seen Billy the Marlin up on Bernie's dugout yet. Hey, the Racing Sausages present, along with Southwest Airlines, Miami's lineup. D. Gordon in the leadoff spot, Giancarlo Stanton second, Christian Yelich third. We told you about Ozuna and his success here. JT Realmuto's in the 5 spot. Justin Bour slides to 6th. Brian Anderson gets a start at third base. Miguel Rojas in the 8th spot. Jose Urena hits 9th.
And there he is, Jeremy Jeffress, 6 foot, 205 pounds, 29 years old. I'm going to give you the fastest scouting report there is because he might not be out there long. The BBC, yeah, that's right, bullpen by committee. That's what you get right off the top. That's going to be on display today from Jeffress. Look for about 40 pitches. He may not be out there long. Craig Counsell's going back to that bullpen. All right, back again. Jeffress is in his 3rd go-round with the Brewers, so they know him and they know him well. Traded back from the Rangers at the deadline. Fished on him in Texas twice.
D. Gordon hits it hard back to the mound. Jeffress over to first. And 1 pitch, 1 out. We didn't even get a chance to tell you that D's got a 17-game hit streak, but we'll do that when he arrives for his 2nd at bat. Here's Giancarlo Stanton climbing in.
Let me finish up real quick on Jeffress. He had a nice season. See that 4.55 ERA? That's total. That's with Texas, where he had a lot of struggles, not with the Brewers. He's got a 2.70 ERA with the Brewers, so much better. Picked up at the deadline. Features a 4-seam, 2-seam fastball. Also throws a splitty, so keep an eye out for that. Knuckle curveball and a changeup.
In Texas this year, little opposite field action.
Oh, yeah.
Giancarlo takes a fastball for a strike. Stanton and the Marlins are in somewhat of a tailspin. Giancarlo, a 136 average his last 16 games, though he has 4 homers in that span. A lot of work today in batting practice on opposite field, right center.
And just like that home run you saw against Jeffress, he was right in the middle of it, right? Stanton at his best. 3 home runs in this ballpark over 20 games. Does not have particularly strong numbers here at Miller Park.
Stanton, a chopper, slowly hit towards third. Shaw across the diamond in time to get him. Milwaukee defensively.
All right, here you go. Here's your Brewers defense for tonight's ball game. Braun gets to start in left field. Phillips in center. Santana in right. Shaw, Sogard, Walker, Thames, both behind the plate. Once again, we're familiar with him, and Jeffress on the mound. Last time the Marlins were here, Vogt was coming over from the A's and got all offensive on the Fish. Couple of home runs, 6 RBIs in that series. Kind of like a coming out party for the Brewers. His introduction, I should say.
Here's Yelich now. As barren as the landscape was for Miami's offense the last 2 ball games, Yelich had the only highlight, and that was a solo homer on Wednesday night. The Marlins lost that game 8-1 and lost 10-0 yesterday to the Philadelphia Phillies. Jeffress misses down low. Craig Counsell, this is his 3rd bullpen game over the last 2 weeks.
Dealing with the loss of Jimmy Nelson. He went down 10-day disabled list. I'm not sure if it's for the rest of the season, but it didn't look good.
Yelich up the middle, backhanded there by Walker, and he gets the out. And that's exactly what Craig Counsell wanted. A short pitch inning for Jeffress. as the Marlins and the Brewers start this 3-game series. Now, the Marlins are the home team in terms of batting second, but if you're looking about and thinking about stats, how do they keep these stats? Are they going to be for the Marlins? Are these going to be home stats? Is this a home start for Jose Urena? Is this a road at bat for Eric Thames? No. The statistics will be home for the Brewers, road for the Marlins.
Well, that makes sense. I think it would throw some obscurities in there if it wasn't, right? How different ballparks are, right? Miller Park, known for its long home runs. Miller Park, known for its long outs. I should say that backwards. The Marlins Park, known for its long outs. There you go.
Eric Thames. And Urena right now having trouble finding the strike zone. He's been nibbling on the outside part. Thames, of course, the Korean sensation who walked in and popped a bunch of homers in April and really lit the baseball world on fire. Number one, who is Eric Thames? And number two, what was he doing in Korea? 11 homers, scored 28 runs in April. And he swings at a changeup. But things have changed for him. He's not the hot hitter that he was in the month of April.
Well, 19 RBIs, 345 batting average in that April. Yeah, he kind of burst onto the scene. Maybe a little Rhys Hoskins, right? Got Thames at the beginning of the season, Hoskins at the end.
3-2, and Thames pops it off of his foot. Boy, was he ever big in Korea, though. This is a guy. Now that hurt. Let's take a look at it.
Well, it's deep right off the top of the shin guard. From one who wore shin guards in his career, it doesn't matter. You still feel it. See Thames hobbling around out there. And it is not. That was a fastball that he was fouling off. You see the numbers there. First half to the second half, only 7 home runs and 15 RBIs. That's the one thing that stands out. Yes, he leads this team in home runs, 30 of them. In fact, he's homered in back-to-back ball games. But get this. He's only got 58 RBIs.
So he's the Joey Gallo of the National League.
Correct.
In that he's driven in himself more than
anybody else, right?
3-2 coming to him. And it's out. And that's kind of where Urena's been missing to the lefty bats. And that's going to bring up Stephen Vogt. The Brewers have essentially a right-handed lineup and a left-handed lineup. And Craig Counsell has mixed and matched with the best of them, not only in these bullpen games where he's running arms in from the bullpen, but in terms of starting lineups against certain pitchers.
116 different lineups for the Brewers this season. That is a huge, huge number. But guess what? You know what? It keeps everybody involved, and it gives you stats like this. How about the Brewers are the first team since 1901 to feature 7 players with 10 home runs and 10 stolen bases. And guess what? Only half of them are even in the game right now. The other half are on the bench, to your point.
We saw Darnell Coles, the hitting coach for the Brewers. Counsell's done a really nice job. The Brewers 8 games over, and a strike there to Vogt. Coles, a Detroit Tiger. I saw him as a feared AAA hitter in Phoenix. And you see where the Brewers sit, 3.5 behind the Cubs. Cubs winners today. And Vogt flips it foul. Now, Stephen Vogt, the Marlins saw him as an athletic and then as a Brewer, and now their second look at him. And as a Brewer, he hurt the Marlins in this ballpark.
Yeah.
A couple big home runs, including one that won a ball game.
Felt that reintroduction was quite rude on his part. Brewers fans loved it. It was his first game here. They're like, who is this Stephen Vogt?
Former Ray.
Right.
Parts of 5 years with Oakland. And he had just arrived with the Brewers. I believe it was the first week. And he goes off. And this was a nice welcome to Milwaukee moment against the Marlins.
A 2 home run game.
And Urena bounces another changeup, and it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Vogt has always been a high on base guy.
Jose Urena, you see him struggling with his command currently. I think he's just being ultra careful right now. When your team's in the middle of a losing streak, you don't want to make mistakes. You sometimes tend to pitch really, really carefully. I think that's what you're seeing from Urena, not that freedom that he a lot of times will have, maybe that second time through that lineup when he starts to really let it go. Being very careful. He knows this ballpark, as we said, has not faced the Brewers this year. So he's learning their swing pass and their mechanics as much as he is trying to execute pitches.
Two-two. Vote to right and deep. Stanton at the wall. And that's gone. That's only his 6th home run as a Brewer. Half of those have come at Miami's expense.
Yes, it's pretty unbelievable what we've seen from Vogt this season. Feels like we've just stepped back in time. This is what he did early July. Gets that slider, cuts it off, doesn't let it get all the way there, and drives it out over the wall. He knows he got it off the bat. He's in his home run trot already. Brewers up 2-0 here in the 2nd inning.
Brett Phillips, the hitter. 205 home runs as a team. That is a substantial amount.
109 of those home runs here at Miller Park.
Phillips to center. And Yelich under it makes the catch. And so an out. And here comes Jeffress. Ideally, when you have a bullpen game and you're Craig Counsell, your relief pitchers don't come to the plate. You're able to swap them out as the game goes. But Counsell certainly, after Jeffress threw just a 8-pitch first inning, added to the fact that the Brewers are hitting first and not last.
Right.
Here's Jeffress digging in against Urena. Because if he had pitched 2 innings by now, before this at bat, he may not be getting this at bat.
Well, I think it's interesting. Jeffress actually picked up the win a couple days ago in the bullpen game, but he didn't start the game. He went an inning and 2/3 against the Pirates and got the win. He basically has no shot at the win today. I mean, I know he had a quick first inning and such, but you kind of know where I'm going with that, right? 5 innings probably is not happening for him today.
And he swings and misses. Urena gets the strikeout.
Join us as the Marlins return home to face the Mets September 18th through the 20th. Take a break with your family and friends to see your Fish take on the Mets. The ultimate home series of the season. We hope to see you at the ballpark. Tickets, go to marlins.com.
Stephen Vogt has bitten the Marlins again. This is top second. And Eric Sogard is up. Sogard, an unbelievable start to his season. An on base that was well over 400. Big hits, and it was a prolonged time. Then he hurt his ankle in early July. It's a guy that missed all of last year with a knee injury.
This is 81st game for the Brewers. Getting very good production from him. Good on-base percentage. Not a whole lot of power.
He's a guy that played a lot of second base before Neil Walker showed up.
Coming into tonight, a .386 on-base percentage. Those guys are certainly valuable. Put a bunt down, put the hit and run on with him in the box.
That one wide of first. Well, they've been putting people in here big time with this nice run in August and September. Energized, especially anytime a team from Milwaukee can chase down a team from Chicago. That's a lot of fun around here.
It's quite territorial this time of year in the Midwest. Obviously, the Cubs making a sustained run with their club. Many times over the last few seasons, Miller Park would be referred to as Wrigley North. Not as much anymore.
Well, at Wrigley South, the Cubs beat the Cardinals 8-2. It was a contentious win.
Yeah, it sure was.
For the Cubs.
Right.
John Lackey getting ejected, but the Cubs didn't mind. 8-2. They beat the Cardinals. It's a tough loss for the Cards because they were right even with the Brewers, putting heat on those Cubs.
Well, and that's the advantage that the Brewers have now, is that, you know, the Cardinals and the Cubs, somebody's going to lose. So they're going to make up ground in their minds if they can take it to the Marlins.
High in the air, Ozuna and Yelich. Yelich calling, Yelich catching. Inning over. Stephen Vogt again, a 2-run shot.
Copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Miami Marlins and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and the descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Miami Marlins.
Well, Milwaukee is just like the Marlins remember it. Great place to hit, and Stephen Vogt blasting one out of here. Marcell Ozuna, JT Realmuto, and Justin Bour. Marcell Ozuna remembers this as a great place to hit. Every time he's here, it's like roll out the barrel, which is what they sing essentially in the 7th inning stretch.
Well, he likes to blast them out of here too. 14 career games in this ballpark, 9 home runs. Hello. This is typically a one-stop, city for Marcell. He doesn't get to come here 3 times a year.
Ozuna sitting on 33 homers. All 3 Miami outfielders had yesterday off. And Ozuna shoots one up the middle. Walker with a sprawling stop, and he throws it out. Brewers are a very progressive and aggressive defensive shifting team.
Yeah, we've seen Marcell Ozuna many times get balls, base hits up the middle. See him sneaking through, and this one would have right over second base bag, but who's there to defend? Walker.
JT Realmuto now. 4 Miami batters, 4 ground ball outs. And Jeffress making just his first major league start. 263 career relief appearances. And he treated this just like a relief appearance. Went through his entire routine. Shag balls in the outfield, hung around, did his throwing program like he does before every game. Did not have a prolonged warm-up period. Didn't start to warm up until his team came to hit in the top of the first. They didn't really want him to vary at all from his routine. He's probably around for 2 innings, but right now he's got 4 outs on 13 pitches. This is right up Craig Counsell's alley.
There's a borderline strike. Since we knew this would be a bullpen game, I in a lot of ways put my notes together with that in mind. Bullpen ERA 2.78 since the start of August. It's the 2nd lowest in baseball. Here's one thing to keep your eye on, Marlins fans. This bullpen has walked a lot of guys. Now they're pretty good at keeping the ball in the yard as a whole, this pitching staff, but the walks are there. They've walked 244 hitters. That's most in baseball. Now the Marlins not always big on the walk. They do like to swing the bats, and you're kind of seeing that factor into this ball game. We'll see how it goes, but there might be the advantage for the hitters today against this bullpen.
Realmuto hooks that one down the left field line and deep. And that is foul. The Marlins had a great series in Texas. That's when they ran into Jeffress. And JT Realmuto kept this one fair.
Similar to the foul ball we just saw. Pulled those hands through. Real nice swing of the bat. JT had a very nice series there, as did many of the Marlins.
Fastball laced to right. Hit deep. Into the corner. And Realmuto has a double. JT is 27th of the season. And it's a 1-out double here in the 2nd.
Very nice piece of hitting from JT. Getting a breaking ball on the inside part of the plate, hooking it foul to left, gets a fastball away. That's where the fastballs from Jeffress have been. See JT staying through it and driving it to the right. There's no chance of a catch. Santana. Just a question of whether that ball would stay in play.
Justin Bour. And Bour takes a strike.
Justin Bour 0 for 4 last night. 4 for 16. 4 runs on this road trip. See those numbers, 21 home runs. Too short of his career high of 23.
Have to get back into the mindset of what will infields do to Bour. This year, a lot of infields played this way, which is a extreme shift. And then having watched Bour drive balls through that shortstop gap, there were some infields that moved back and relaxed that shift.
Like
and
that.
Bour does just that. Realmuto's on his way home. And an RBI single by Bour.
A nice piece of hitting by the big guy, JB. Well, look at the shift. Huge hole. Rich, as you mentioned, look at JT going to go on the pitch. Thought he had the stolen bases, but you know what? He's off with the action. That's an easy run as Bour rolls it through the left side.
I like that play with Realmuto because, you know, we were focused on the alley for Bour, but
the last defender over there is going to cover third base.
Yeah, Travis Shaw is way off the line. I think that ball gets through anyways, but even if he doesn't swing at the ball, I think Realmuto has third base stolen. Anderson takes outside.
Probably without a throw. Not sure Vogt would have wanted to throw on the run. I think that Realmuto and Shaw were going to show up at the same time at third base. He got a great jump, but JB got a pitch he could handle and drove it through the left side. All is good.
So Anderson now. His first taste of Milwaukee. And a strike to Miami's rookie third baseman. Well, last night was a long night for the Fish. They lost 10-0. They were down 9-0 in the second inning. But Anderson was a bright spot. He had 2 doubles and a single and a 3-for-4 night. On a night where Miami had 8 hits and no runs.
Obviously, his first career extra base hit game. Those 2 doubles. It's a pretty good road trip. 348 batting average. Good returns. Last night might be a pretty good indicator of what he can do with the bat, gap to gap. He had a double down the right field line, a double to left center, and a base hit to center field as well.
Pops this one up, and it's Vogt. And it's the second out, and it brings up Rojas. Tomorrow it's Marlins and Brewers. Davies-Conley matchup. And please note that Marlins Live is at 6:30 tomorrow with a 7 o'clock first pitch back home. 6 o'clock first pitch here. Adam Conley gets the start. Jeff Conine, Craig Minervini in the studio tomorrow night. Great to see that everything worked tonight. The Fox Sports studios in Fort Lauderdale had been down since Irma. Electricity restored yesterday. And our thanks to all the women and men who worked so hard to get it ramped back up and get it ready for tonight's Marlins Live, both pre-game and following the game post-game. Rojas, a slow roller. A little shovel pass there from Sogard, trying to get Justin Bour. It's going to be a base hit for Rojas and bring Urena up.
Good to see for Rojas. He's going to get Urena to the plate. That breaks his bat. Good placement there. They were playing him on the ground, the other to pull. See Sogard way in the hole over there, so had a nice big hole up the middle. Picked up his 8th hit now on the road trip.
Miami on the board. It's a 2-1 Milwaukee lead. Now Urena is a very athletic guy. And if he makes contact, he's never an easy play for an infielder. We've seen some infielders take their time and nearly get burned because of his speed down to first.
I'll tell you what, he's got good speed. He's got good bat speed as well. He is a threat if he makes contact. Well done. Well done. Half his hits come with runners in scoring position.
Well, there you go. Little busted bat, and it's going to float into right field for a hit. That's Bour running. Ball's kicked in right, and that's going to allow Bour to score. A lot of things happening there. First, the busted bat and the floater. Number 2, it was Bour that was trying to chug home, and Santana got to the ball pretty quickly. And had he come up cleanly, he would have had a great shot to get Bour.
Well, 2 consecutive broken bat base hits by the bottom of the Marlins lineup. Say that 3 times fast. Well, there you go. You see the pursuit of the baseball, and you're right. Santana most definitely would have had a shot at him, but a lot of times what happens here in the Midwest, the ball checks up on the outfield grass as well when it's not hit hard. You almost saw it bounce a little bit to the right on Santana. Doesn't come up with it clean, and Bour scores easily. This game is tied.
And once again, he's really good with runners in scoring position.
You said that with a straight face. Congratulations.
Here's D. Gordon. Gordon takes fastball for a strike. Now, D hit it hard, but right back to Jeffress. On the first pitch, he saw it in the first inning. And then here he is now. The runner's at the corners. A career high 17-game hit streak. The .392 average through it. Check swing, and that is a swing, says Bill Miller. Marlins dugout not real happy.
You see the Brewers bullpen already starting to move after cruising through an easy first inning. The second inning is really stretched out. Jeffress.
Brent Suter, the lefty, is up. Gordon hits a little looper. That's out into left center field. That's gonna. Whoa! He got it. Sogard at the last minute got the glove out and caught it. That saved a couple. At second base when they were here in the middle of the season. Now he's at shortstop. And this a run-saving catch. Our Bonefish catch of the game. Great fish, great cocktails, and great times. Head to Bonefish Grill.
Wow, I mean, at the very last second realizes he might be off just a little bit. All he's got is a reach to the left and obviously extended out. Just a fantastic catch, and you see the Brewers fans' reaction to it. Saved him a run.
Oh, he robs a hit of D. Gordon, but the Marlins do rally for 2 and tie this game. And the visitor half of the third inning, Neil Walker, Ryan Braun, and Travis Shaw against Jose Urena. Urena gave up what knew a Stephen Vogt 2-run homer. Vogt hit it up in Toyota territory in right center field. They do have some of the bleacher seats open in right. The 2 upper decks here, the upper deck and in the third level just below it are not open. That's the bleachers out in right. Capacity again capped around 23,000 right now for all 3 ball games. Gordon on to first, and Neil Walker is out. And that brings up Ryan Braun. And I think the Brewers are certainly one of the surprise teams in the National League, though the run by Arizona and even the run by Colorado have taken some of those votes away as far as surprise teams. I don't think anybody really thought the Brewers would contend this late into the season.
Well, and I think that's the key, is how far along we are. We're in the middle of September, and we're still talking about Brewers baseball, along with the Diamondbacks and the Colorado Rockies. I think most people said, oh, well, those were great starts for both those organizations. Boy, look at the Arizona Diamondbacks. They're bouncing back after a dismal year. And, well, maybe the Brewers are a little ahead of schedule. Tell you what, these teams have made some nice moves down the stretch. They've kept themselves relevant, and they keep playing pretty good baseball. This Brewers team has won 5 of 6. They've only allowed 14 runs coming into tonight. Obviously, the 2 runs scored for the Marlins.
Oh, 2. Chopped to Rojas. And Braun is out. And Urena, there's a couple ground ball outs to start this, the top of the 3rd inning. All around town, there's a lot of talk about this series because while Miami has been dealing with Irma and the cleanup, up here, everyone was just thrilled with the homestand and the fact that Milwaukee's won 5 of 6. And so the locals decided they'd bring a little taste of Miami here to the ballpark.
Well, the Brewers and their fan base are in a very similar situation to where the Marlins were, say, 3 weeks ago before this, dismal turn of events and losing 15 of 17. You know what I mean? That's kind of where both organizations, I felt like, were at. Now, the Brewers have played pretty good baseball of late, and now they're still relevant. And they get a few extra home games, oh, by the way, well, at Miller Park anyway, because of it. They've got the Cubs on the schedule, and they're hoping to take advantage of the Marlins right now. Remember, we talked about this, I'd say about 3 weeks ago. We're like, listen, you got the Brewers in front of you. You get to play them at home, mid-September. That's going to be a huge homestand for the Marlins. Well, it didn't work out that way. Huge homestand for the Brewers, though.
Bouncer third, Anderson across. 3 ground ball outs and a nice clean 3rd for Jose Urena. Bottom of the 3rd coming up. 2-2.
Invite you and your fellow Jedi Masters to the 8th annual Star Wars Night at Marlins Park on September 30th. With your purchase of a special event ticket, you're going to receive an exclusive Adam Connolly Stormtrooper bobblehead. That's right. A portion of the proceeds will support Stand Up to Cancer. You're going to get your tickets at marlins.com/special events.
Adam Conley pitched his best game as a major leaguer in this ballpark. Remember, he was pulled with a no-hitter going with 2 outs in the 8th inning. His pitch count was skyrocketing. And he returns here tomorrow night to face a very hot Brewers game. There you go back to 2016. Giancarlo Stanton now takes a fastball out, and he's not facing Jeremy Jeffress anymore. Jacob Barnes takes the baton in this ball, I guess a bullpen game, relay race, whatever you want to call it.
It's the BBC.
Thank you.
Bullpen by committee, the BBC. There you go.
Stanton bounced to 3rd in the 1st. And he hits a BB right at 3rd, and Travis Shaw makes the catch. Not a bad sign, though.
off the bat of Stanton. Right at Shaw, but good to see, as you mentioned. Swing starting to come back around, maybe just a little bit for the big guy.
So 2 innings out of Jeffress. Barnes here in the 3rd. We saw the lefty Suter warming up. Now, Craig Counsell has kind of enjoyed these bullpen games. Number one, because they've won both of the previous ones. That makes a manager enjoy it.
Well, they're tough. They're tough on offenses.
And the other reason he enjoys it is he's got 12 relievers in the bullpen. So
well,
in September, when you've got expanded pens and expanded rosters, you can do this.
Well, situations like this have been talked about throughout baseball. The idea that the bullpen game could become more of a reality in the game of Major League Baseball maybe earlier in the year. Well, I don't believe, and I think many people who know this game inside and out really do agree, that it's probably not a possibility. There's too many variables that would factor into tired arms and days off and everything else that goes on. But when you get to September, you've got the expanded rosters, you've got more arms in your bullpen. You really have no other way to go. This is the alternative. You throw bullpen games. And speaking from an offensive-minded person, these are tough. D. Gordon, Giancarlo Stanton, whoever, they're going to see probably 4 or 5 different guys tonight. So in between at-bats, you're going over what you think you're going to get and who's up next coming out of the bullpen. Might be a lefty, might be a righty, might be a submarine guy, might be a hard thrower, might be a splitty guy, and all those things change. You don't get a feel for what's coming at you all night long.
I think the term that people use is bullpenning, and a lot of people, Brian Kenny of Major League Baseball Network is one of the guys that has advocated for this, and so you get a good look at it here. The difference is, and there's the environment is easier to do it in September because you've got more relievers. You got a dozen of them to work with. The Rays have had success doing this in emergency. Kevin Cash is their manager. I asked him this year, I said, all right, so if you went into the season, do you think you could do it by bullpenning? Do you think you could regularly do that? And he said, the difference is everybody looks at, and especially the postseason last year with Andrew Miller and bringing in guys, you know, you can do it in the postseason, he said, because you had days off.
Yeah, there you go.
And the schedule isn't as bunched in, and you don't have stretches of 13, 14 days without an off day. Ozuna. The other thing he said was, to me, was interesting, and it made a lot of sense. He said, if you're going to do it, you have to have 2 stud starters that will go 7 or 8 innings every time you give them the ball to protect the bullpen.
To protect the scheme.
Yes.
Right.
And he said even then you can't sustain it over the course of 162 games. Yelich is back in.
It doesn't withstand the variables of the game of baseball, which are like, you know, teams having to go to other cities to play home games or double headers or, you know, days off. All of that has to be considered, and I just don't know. You start your bullpen guy, he goes out there and he gives up 5 runs and 10 pitches. You got to get him out of there.
Now, look, a lot of teams have shifted to, and the Marlins tried to do that this year, shifted to a super bullpen, whereas you have 8 relievers, and you bring high leverage guys in or whatever you need when it gets to be the 6th inning, or maybe sometimes, you know, after 5. And the problem Don Mattingly has had this year is that even that has been tough to get out of a starting rotation that's been racked with injuries and disappointments. He's had to bring bullpen guys in or start bullpenning a lot earlier than he's liked to do. Like, you can't do it every night after 5 innings or 4 innings.
You have to have an incredibly deep organization, guys that you can either call up and bring up during the course of the season. You have to make up for those innings. Rich, those innings are there somewhere. You've got 162 games of 9-inning baseball plus some.
Ozuna swings and misses. That's a ball and a strike. Now, Marcell Ozuna, if you've just joined us, this is like his playland here. This is his happy spot.
Robbed of a base hit his first time up. Walker, the base hit up the middle away from him.
Imagine that. Born and raised in the Dominican, and Milwaukee is his happy spot. Look at this. 9 homers in 16 games, and 4 of his last 8 hits are long balls.
A little late on that fastball down in the zone.
Swings and misses. Ozuna strikes out, and there's 2 outs here in the 3rd.
After swinging through the fastball, he typically earns himself a slider off the outside corner, and he gets it. Stayed away from that power. He saw 1 strike, which was the last pitch, two pitches ago. That 1 fastball, and the rest off that outside corner.
Jacob Barnes is a native of St. Petersburg, so a Florida guy. St. Petersburg High School, and played at Florida Gulf Coast University.
JT Realmuto ripped a double into the right field corner his first time up. Nice at bat. 16 homers, 62 RBIs, career highs. A nice road trip. 3 doubles, triple, 6 RBIs on it. 328 on the road this year.
Well, he pulled a ball that had the distance but hooked foul. And as you noted, got a fastball on the outside part and blasted it in the corner down the right field line.
Bats like that typically get everybody's attention. He's on everything. He's had good success against the Brewers throughout his career. He's now hit 12 of 13 games. 355 batting average, a couple of home runs, 7 RBIs.
Fouls that one straight back. Florida Gulf Coast University in Fort Myers. We hope that everybody in Fort Myers and in that area has made it through all right. On the ground, and Walker flips to first in time. 2-2 ball game after 3.
On the mound for the Marlins all season long. We've seen him be aggressive and attack hitters, and for Urania, he feels like that has really paid off for him.
That makes like a big difference too, because when I be down there and we attack the hitter, we try to give it the thing they want. You want to hit this, let's go with that. That be easy for me, because for us, for any pitcher, because like you can be like, when you can get like behind in the count, you can get a quick out, and that be more good for you because you can get more deep in the game.
And guys, you mentioned his wins, 13 this season compared to only 4 in 2016. And how about Urania helping out his own cause tonight?
It wasn't pretty, Jess, but it worked. And in a 2-2 game, he goes to work in the top of the 4th. And if you're just tuning in and you see the score bug there on the right, you see Milwaukee on top, Miami on the bottom. That one drilled to left, down the line, and foul. Domingo Santana nearly hit it out. That illustrates who's the home team. Home team always goes on the bottom. Visitors always go on top. There you go. So for the home fans, it was a little odd seeing the Brewers hit first here tonight. There's all kinds of nuances that this changes. Even some of the most advanced electronics are having trouble digesting what they're seeing here. StatCast works in concert with the score bug for pitch speeds and our Fox tracks and all of that. 86 miles an hour on that slider. For the first 3 innings of this ball game, nothing worked in our computers. You see right there, 97 miles an hour. That's been missing for most of the night, because in the computers that are tied into StatCast and all of the information that flows in, by putting Miami as the home team in Milwaukee's building, that just did not compute.
Like a virus, like a bug?
Right. It's like
what?
The computer said, wait a minute, we are in Milwaukee. You have entered.
You are not there. Wait a minute.
How you have entered the information incorrectly.
Well, there you go. Look at the Marlins box score.
Yeah, look. I mean, the box score's not working. The pitch speed's been off. And it's like Y2K in score bug fashion.
Right.
Santana's bounced out. And now he's struck out. So nearly a home run, merely a strikeout. And Thames and Vogt, 2 guys with big power coming up.
Since that home run from Vogt, 7 have been set down in a row. Good stuff from Urania, really finding that command. Good fastball on the outside corner to Santana. Too much to handle.
Thames was the first 40-40 man in Korean baseball. He has not been a stolen base sensation here. He's swiped just 4 bags this year, but he's popped 30 homers. The NC Dinos of KBO, the Korean baseball organization. Last year, 123 games, 40 homers, knocked in 123 runs. Played in the big leagues with Toronto and Seattle 2011, 2012. And then was released by Houston in December of 13 and decided to set out for 3 years in Korea.
I'll give the Brewers the credit.
Smacks that one in the gap. Ozuna racing over to get it. Can't. Bangs off the Chevrolet side. And Thames has got a double, his 23rd of the year.
Well, it appears that Thames is heating up at just the right time for this Brewers team. His 23rd double on the season. As I mentioned, he homered in back-to-back ball games, all the way up to 30 now. He's been a little bit of a roller coaster this year in that great start to the season. He slowed way down. On-base percentage had gone down. fact, had a bit of a rough August. Not so much so here in September. Swing starting to come back.
You know, they signed him without any live scouting.
Right.
It was essentially videotape.
It was a huge risk on their part. I believe they gave him a 3-year deal. I have to go back and check that out, but I think it was a 3-year deal, and it's not big money, but they're getting big production. So how about it? You know, you give kudos to the organization. The Brewers were willing to go out there and say, we're going to take a chance on this guy.
3 years, $16 million total.
Yeah. 30 home runs out of it.
Got some sick tattoos out of it, too.
I think the tattoos came after the contract, though.
Stephen Vogt has tormented the Marlins as a Brewer. He's everyman, too. I think that's one of the things that people love about him is that he looks like an ordinary guy. He is one of the funnier guys. If you have your laptop, your tablet out, in between innings, Google Stephen Vogt, V-O-G-T, and referee. And there's some great video. He does a terrific high school basketball referee imitation. Real Muto throws behind the runner, and Thames is back in.
Well, even looking at Stephen Vogt, doesn't he feel like he identifies almost like he looks right in a Brewers uniform? No batting gloves on. He's got a beard, but he needs to shave. You know what I mean?
Yes. He looks like he likes a Leinenkugel or whatever
Sure.
that they've got going here in the land of Miller.
Connecting with this really, really responsive fan base. I mean, they show up. I mean, think about this. I mean, I heard yesterday they had to add more tickets.
To right, and it's foul. They did. They were going to cap this game at 10,000.
Right.
Because of staffing issues. We told you they had to bus concessionaires in for the series. They sold so many tickets first. They then made a few phone calls to get a few more staff here, and they were at 19,000 before they opened the gates tonight. So with the walk-up, they probably pushed them over 20. And they capped it at 23 for tonight. Vogt rolls it slowly up the middle. Rojas hanging out there. He fires the first just in time. Vogt, who I told you has a great referee imitation in basketball, was pulling out his first base umpire imitation there, crossing the bag.
Who doesn't appreciate the effort, right? But we can't do this anymore. It really doesn't matter. We've got instant replay, so there's no buying a call. You can't buy a call in baseball anymore. Rojas maybe takes a little bit too much time, but you see the call over there at first base. Let's take a look. Oh, yeah, just in the nick of time.
And I think if Justin Bour rethought that, he might have stretched out a little more. I don't think he realized how close Vogt was. Listen to Vogt as he crosses first.
Yeah, he's hustling all the way. Well, you got to laugh now, right? Because even if the Phillips is going to get the intentional walk and
all right, this is the interesting part about bullpenning
bring
here.
the pitcher's spot up. Yeah.
Right. Don Mattingly is going to force the hand of the Brewers and walk Brett Phillips and force the pitcher spot to come up. Brewers don't have a pinch hitter ready, and now they do. So Jonathan VR emerges, and that forces the Brewers bullpen all of a sudden to get up and get going. Got a lefty up. Wei-Sheng Wong is the left-handed pitcher.
VR's had many opportunities pitch hitting this year, and that's what Craig Counsell's done. And I think that's what's so interesting about the bullpen game. Like, you even look at the pinch hitting statistics for the Brewers. They've got so many guys that have got multiple pitch hitting at bats this season, including VR. He's actually got 18 of them. 3 for 10 from the left side of the plate. It's part of that 116 different lineups we were talking about a little bit earlier in the ball game. He is willing to use everybody, keep everybody involved, which means you're going to have guys coming off the bench getting pinch hit appearances.
Well, look, it's a two-sided coin. You intentionally walk Phillips. Yeah, you force the Brewers to remove the reliever, which they weren't planning on doing. Long was not up and going. But on the other hand, Craig Counsell's got an ample bench to pick a pinch hitter from.
Right. Well, and that's the point. That's kind of what I was getting at. I mean, there's got to be, without counting him right off the top, man, there's got to be 12 guys who have got an actual pinch hit this year for the Brewers.
And of course, it's September, so there's more of them.
Right.
Career pinch hitting, you saw that. Fastball is up. South Florida Honda dealers, Marlins live. Craig and Jeff in studio, full power, full pregame. Game 2. And Arena misses in. And this is the worry here by forcing the Brewers' hand and walking the 8-hitter. Suddenly, you've got VR, who's a really good pinch hitter, and you got Sogard on deck.
You also have to be very, very careful with Craig Counsell. We mentioned this. He likes to run. He'll put guys in motion. Phillips over there is getting a little bit extra. They're just keeping his eyes on him. He likes to get creative. He'll put first and third plays on. He'll try some different things, even with 2 outs.
And Arena evens the count now, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Now you got a right-hander up in Milwaukee's pen as well. In addition to Wong. Junior Guerra. Runner does go, check swing, throw by Real Muto, runner coming home. Rojas throw to Real Muto, hung up in a rundown is Thames. Ball gets thrown away, rolls down the line. There's 2 runners at third base. Ozuna throws, Gordon tags,
he's out.
And the Marlins finally get the out. Wow. It wasn't pretty. It was mass confusion, but the result is the Marlins get out of it. Not something they'll put on the highlight DVD at season's end. Pat Murphy is bench coach. A real gamble there. He had a pinch hitter at the plate in Jonathan VR and tried the double steal.
Sure did. All right, you see JT come up. That's why you see the base runner stop. They're going to try and steal a run at home. JT does a great job of running him down, but there's a mistake right there. Anderson closed too fast. That's a mistake. You don't want to come off the bag that fast. There's too much contact with the base runner. You see Marcell Ozuna, you have to applaud him for backing up. If Marcell Ozuna does not back up that play, this thing goes straight away. And then you've got the over-aggressiveness of Phillips. Phillips was running blindly, so there were a lot of mistakes on the field right there. But you see Phillips, he got too aggressive. He shouldn't have been running with his head down. Marlins will take it. Either way you get it.
And because the Brewers were pinch hitting for the pitcher, they lose VR, who was at the plate when all of this happened. So he's out of the game. I guess if they had double switched, or if they brought VR out to pitch, he could stay in. But he's gone because here is Wei-Sheng Wong, the lefty, who takes over for Milwaukee. Third reliever already, and a strike to Bohr.
13.50 ERA, making his 5th appearance of the season. Justin Bohr, 309 versus left-handed pitchers here in 2017. Very nice job.
Wong buries that breaking ball.
Every time I look to the Brewers bullpen, there's somebody up and throwing. Got more activity going on now.
It's going to be like that all night.
Keeping us on our toes. Nice breaking ball by Wong, 86 miles an hour down in the zone.
In a 2-2 game, we do some T-Mobiling here. Unlimited baseball break. Terry Francona in Cleveland. We watched that as we went off the air yesterday. The great comeback. And then that run in extras to win it. Aaron Judge, 2 more homers. Avisail Garcia, career high 5 hits, drove in 7. And a big score there at 17-7. So the Brewers really are bullpenning here. Wong comes out after facing 1 hitter. And a Florida lottery call to the bullpen. Bullpen brought to you by the Florida Lottery. Enter your Lotto Fantasy 5 or all-new Fast Play ticket in the Florida Lottery Game Day Cash Promotion. You can win a 2018 Lazy Days RV motorhome, over $200,000 in cash prizes, bowl tickets, season tickets, and more. Must be 18 or older to play. Play responsibly.
All right, there's Junior Guerra on the mound. He's pitching in his 17th ball game. He is a starter by trade. One of their big starters last year, one of their big successes, Guerra was. Now, made 13 starts for the Brewers this year, including opening day. He ultimately got optioned down to Colorado Springs. When he was down, he made 5 starts. Threw the ball well. 1.52 ERA over 23 innings.
Anderson goes after the first pitch, fouls it back, out of play.
Good chance that Guerra may be your long guy in this ball game. You know that you mentioned that Wong had only come in for one hitter, only to face Bohr. Certainly made some sense. You had the lefty-lefty matchup. Of course, we're talking, you know, the bottom of the 4th inning here. At some point, you're going to have a bullpen guy go like Jeffress did and give you at least a few more outs.
Guerra snaps off a breaking ball for a strike. He is out of Venezuela. 6 feet, 231 pounds. And a 32-year-old. So threw a pretty good pitch there. Anderson took it. Split finger. You see his career now, just his 3rd season. His road to the big leagues has gone through a lot of different places. In the minor leagues, originally with Atlanta. Some time in the Mets minor leagues. Began his career as an outfielder catcher with the Braves. Did not pitch for anybody in 2007. And a swing and a miss by Anderson. And so there's 2 outs. Coors Banquet timeless moments. 1938. Big Poison, Little Poison. First brothers to hit back-to-back home runs. It was back in 1938. We did father and son, Junior and Senior Griffey. They went back-to-back. Did the Alous ever do that? I'm trying to think of brothers that played on the same team. Any other brothers? Rojas knocks it into center field. It's going to fall for a hit.
Get up the hot hitting Jose Urena.
That's right.
To build off that line drive base hit his first time up to right. No, I'm just kidding. Was an RBI base hit though. Worked, perfectly placed into right field. See that seasonal average at 116. All right, Junior Guerra, the Marlins, they faced him earlier this year. In fact, July 2nd, this is when he was still on the rotation, so I'll give you some numbers here. 4 innings, 8 hits, 4 earned runs. Did give up a home run that day, had 7 strikeouts. So there's somebody in this sequence of relievers that maybe you get a pass, maybe 2 at, it might be Guerra. So there you go. Lost to the Marlins July 2. As I told you, fastball, 92, 93 miles an hour. Does have a decent slider and a good splitting.
It's a surprise that he's here in the big leagues, quite honestly, just looking where he's been. Didn't pitch for 2 years, 09 and 10. Didn't pitch in 07. Pitched an independent ball for Wichita, the Wingnuts of the Independent American Association. Then spent a season pitching for in Mexico for Yucatan. And then back to Wichita for the Wingnuts. And in 2014, he pitched in Italy. Here's a 2-1. And I wanted to see how he pitched in Italy and what the name of the team was. But the note in his bio just says statistics not available for his season in 2014. The very next year, he caught on with the White Sox AA, AAA, and found himself in the big leagues. And last year, he was really good in 20 starts in Milwaukee's rotation. Urena busted his bat, and now
none too happy about it. He obviously had a special model he wanted to use, so D. Gordon had to oblige and very graciously made his way up and down the dugout until he found the bat he wanted.
Well, that one obviously didn't work. Urena strikes out. In Milwaukee, 2-2 game. because of Hurricane Irma. You go back to 2004. The Marlins were displaced and had to play the Expos in Chicago at U.S. Cellular Fields. Ike sent the Astros from Houston to play the Cubs here at Miller Park. Carlos Zambrano had a nice time, threw a no-hitter here for the Cubs. Harvey sent the Rangers and Astros here. That are actually to Tropicana Field, my bad. That was earlier this year. And of course the Marlins are here. It was a snowstorm that also sent the Angels and the Indians here. That was 2007. These are highlights from that ball game. You can see the Indian logo up there. Grady Sizemore makes the show. Travis Hafner. What was his nickname? Prunk?
Prunk. For my former teammates.
I think that's Tom Hamilton in the background. Jobo. Was that Jobo?
It was Jobo.
Joe Borowski. Andrew Susak is hitting right now. That's very nice. Look, every place the Marlins have gone on this road trip, whether it's Atlanta, whether it's Philadelphia, and here in Milwaukee, the ball clubs and their fans have been terrific to the Marlins and the Marlins families. This is a trip with a lot of family members. Remember, the Marlins opened up their plane and the hotel to family members of players, front office staff, broadcasters, coaches, and that has included Atlanta, that has included Philadelphia, and it continues here in Milwaukee. Brewers have dressed up that left center field, a little tropical feel. So Susak takes that at bat. Remember, VR was left holding the bat when all heck broke loose. The Marlins got that out to finish the fourth. And Milwaukee loses his services for the night. Susak strikes out. Here is Sogard. And the count is 0-2.
So many times as Urania does, he's really settled in. He's finally found that outside corner to the left-handed hitters. You see the two-seam action right there. Went back out there a pitch before with the slider. It looks like he has found his rhythm.
Changeup misses away. One of the reasons teams get sent here to Milwaukee is the roof.
Yeah.
You know that you're going to play. Fastball misses away. The Marlins in Major League Baseball really weren't sure until late this week. There's a liner into center field and a base hit. Yelich picks it up. Sogard has a hit. Now, we talked about making the Marlins feel at home. Jessica Blaylock is out in left center field. Jess, feeling tropical out there?
It's like a tropical oasis out here. That's why I had to make my way out to center field. Now, if you look behind me, you can see those palm trees. Guys, those are real. And I don't know if you can tell from where you are, but these flamingos also real. Okay, just kidding. But all joking aside, it is really nice to see what the Brewers are doing to make the Marlins feel more at home. And like you mentioned, Rich, teams all along this road trip, whether it was the Phillies, whether it was the Braves, they're doing everything that they possibly can to take care of both the Marlins and those Florida residents that had to leave the state because of the hurricane.
Jess, and you know, one of the things that the Phillies did, what I thought was great, is they set up a little family area outside by the team buses.
Right.
So after the game, the kids had a chance not only to go out and run around in that area, but they had food out there, they had drink out there, so the families could get something to eat. And because it takes, you know, 45 minutes to an hour after a game for players to talk to the media, then take a shower, and then get out to the bus.
Exactly. And think about the food that was out there. What do kids love? What do some adults love? Chicken tenders.
Right.
You can get some of those underneath the tent.
And this was the scene in Philly. Sesame Street characters came to the team hotel. All the families gathered in a ballroom, and all of a sudden It was Sesame Street time.
Well, the one thing we know, Rich, is that those kids have way more energy than you or I, and we've got to get that energy out of them somehow. They don't sit around well, do they, right? So we've got to bring in some entertainment. The Braves, the Phillies have been so gracious, helping us entertain the many kids that are on this trip. Tell you what, that's pretty good flight late last night.
It was. The Marlins pulled into their hotel here in Milwaukee, what, 2:15?
Yeah, I mean, the kids were fantastic. I figured by then we'd have screaming and yelling and all sorts of slugging going on. At least my guys, anyway.
Well, the kids were excited to see a big pile of cookies.
and Mountain Dew, by the way. Did you see that?
Yes, there was some Mountain Dew waiting for the families as they arrived at the hotel. The old-fashioned, one of the great hotels in baseball, the Pfister. Pop up. And it's out of play. Neil Walker. You got Ryan Braun on deck. Brewers scored in the top of the second. Got a couple runs on a Stephen Vogt homer. Marlins answered in the bottom of the second. RBI hits by Justin Bour and Jose Urena. It's 2-2 here, top 5. Marlins are the home team. Pitch just missing. Just a little in and a little up. So it counts full. See if Sogard's on the move. Urena thinks so. Even the slow guys run for the Brewers. It doesn't matter your foot speed. You're liable to see anybody try to steal a base. He bluffs and a swing and a miss. Urena is really hard to run on. He's pretty quick to the plate. Walker strikes out, and here comes Braun.
Nice job. Great location down in the zone. Just a little cutting action on that fastball. Two down here in the 5th. Garcia getting loose.
Pitch number 95. This is to Braun. You noted Braun's health issues. And for him, somewhat of an off year. Just a .336 on base, .267 average. He has bounced to short twice. But the Marlins have seen him enough to know that you make a mistake and he'll put it up in the seats. Bernie Brewer knows that. He is standing at the ready up on his dugout.
It's a pretty good tell how effective that fastball from Urena can be. A 2-0 count. Runner on first base. Ryan Braun looking nothing but heat. It almost looked like he moved back an extra couple inches there in the batter's box. Just piped it right down the middle of the plate. Got it by him.
Goes even further in. It's 3-1.
Well, the inconsistency on that corner, that's what's frustrated Urena tonight at times. He's been so good with the two-seam fastball and watching it work its way to that inside corner on a righty away from a lefty. Tonight it's been very inconsistent to that side of the plate. He continues to search for it.
Fastball in with a runner on the move. So Ureña's at 100 pitches, trying to get across the tape here. Garcia, the lefty, is ready. Don Mattingly looks like he's on his way out, and he is. Whoop. Garcia's ready. You've got Shaw, who has walked and has bounced out. And Ureña will exit the game. Florida Lottery called to the bullpen in a 2-2 game in the 5th. On Fox Sports Florida, are brought to you by the all-new Jeep Compass, by Hankook Tires, chase down your passion, never halfway, and by your South Florida Chevy dealers. Two, top 5. Miami's into their bullpen already. Jose Ureña in some trouble here in 100 pitches. And it's Harlan Garcia who arrives for Travis Shaw. Shaw, the former Red Sox, having a breakout year. In a rookie season for Harlan Garcia. You see the ERA of 4.83. That has been inflated lately.
No doubt. 7 earned runs in his last 5 appearances. Part of the problem has been his inability to throw strikes. Walks have been an issue.
He's got a couple runners here. One.
Good slider right there. He surrendered 12 runs over his last 6 games, 4 innings. That's how that ERA will jump so fast. For a bullpen arm. But prior to that, it only allowed 1 run for his last 14 innings pitched. Harlan certainly has it in him. That command has not been nearly as sharp lately. His head here 1-2.
Shaw has had a very consistent season. The Brewers named him Player of the Month for May, for June, and for July. There's some other guys on this team that are having really nice years too. And Garcia overthrows that fastball. Counts full now, 3-2.
A lot of times what we're talking about with Garcia are the takes. You see the takes from Shaw. These are easy takes. These aren't borderline strikes. That's what you need to be as a guy coming out of the bullpen on those corners and consistent. Right now he's just wasting balls.
Got him with a breaking ball. Shaw goes down. Garcia strands 2. And we're halfway through. 2-2.
Tyler Wilkerson with the bases.
All right, on this day in Marlins history, anytime Carl Pavano ties his shoe, that means hidden ball trick. That means Mike Lowell at third base. This is 2004. This was such a good hidden ball trick that it fooled the cameraman and fooled the television production, fooled Brian Schneider of all people. That was the second time that Mike Lowell was able to do that in his career. Montreal won the game, but Mike Lowell won the battle. Brian Schneider, now a Marlins coach, and our Jessica Blaylock had a chance to catch up with Brian today. Jess?
Yeah, that's right. Let me tell you what happened from Schneid's perspective. When I asked him about it, he just laughed a little and said, I wasn't really doing anything different than normal. I was almost right on the base. I didn't have any type of lead. I was actually talking to my third base coach when Lowell tagged me, and at first I didn't even realize what happened. I actually didn't think I was off the base, but I guess I obviously was.
Yeah, he also was, remember, an Expo, and he was on that 04 team that was displaced in that series. The Marlins played the Expos in Chicago. So he has a hand in a lot of things that are going on with this ball game. This is Josh Hader. And a lively arm, some wild hair, and a good fastball there. You see his season numbers, an ERA of under 2, a lot of strikeouts in just 29 games.
That's right. Well, pitching in his 30th game, in his major league debut, June 10th. Lots of good results, lots of opportunity for this young man.
His hair looks like he belongs in the Mets rotation. Here is Stanton now. And a low fastball. Stanton has bounced to third and then lined out to third. So he's 0 for 2. This is the third different pitcher he's seen tonight.
That's the difference between his two pitches. It was a hard changeup along with the fastball. Fastball 94 to 96 miles an hour. He throws a slider. Throws that fastball an awful lot.
Well, 97 with that fastball. Hader has a little bit of Chris Sale, Adam Conley too, with that release point and kind of a herky-jerky hide behind that right shoulder delivery.
And he's fast. Watch how quick he comes from that point forward. Really accelerates through his mechanics. Takes that right foot and steps back away. Everything seems to be under control, but he certainly picks up speed as he gets to that point. Or rush it right past Giancarlo Stanton. Batter's only hitting 152 against him on the season. He has given up 3 home runs.
3-2. And he strikes him out. That was an uncomplicated approach by Hader.
He falls behind and ends up just going right at Giancarlo Stanton with velocity. 96, 97, back-to-back pitches. As I told you, he hides the ball pretty well. Certainly does accelerate through his mechanics, only making that 96 look even harder.
Hader is the 5th Brewer reliever to work in this ball game. It's a bullpen game. Jeffress, Barnes, Wong, Guerra, and now the lefty Hader.
Fastball and its way in on Christian Yelich's hands. Catch a piece of it. Fooled a little bit by the movement. Brewers playing him straight up.
Pitch misses. It's a pretty good pitch. Hader came to the Brewers in the Carlos Gomez trade with Houston. Brett Phillips and Domingo Santana also in that trade. That one a strike. Around that outside part, a little lower in the zone. And Yelich strikes out. That's an impressive 1-2-3. Josh Hader strikes out the side. Gordon, Stanton, and Yelich. Of Fox Sports North, or Fox Sports Milwaukee. He is down in Fort Lauderdale. Great to see Craig and Jeff Conine in our studio back online for Marlins Live. Craig will be by later in the night. Domingo Santana takes the strike. Harlan Garcia is going to stay out there here in the 6th, at least to start the inning. Eric Thames, Stephen Vogt. Garcia gets a strike, and it's 0-2. If you're just happening by, yeah, the Marlins are on the road and wearing their road uniforms. Look, the Marlins and all of us didn't hear that we were headed in this direction till it was a Wednesday early evening, late afternoon. So you had what you had, which was a lot of dirty laundry for us.
That's right.
And you hopped on a plane last night after the ball game in Philly. Marlins have the road grays and the black tops. And Milwaukee wearing their home, kind of their throwback jerseys. There's a strike 3 called. Santana goes down. And that is a strike. He was upset. He spun towards the Marlins dugout and then did another U-turn after the strikeout.
Well, a little bit surprised that pitch got all the way in. The frustration from Santana, but it is a good pitch. It is inside the zone. Nice job by Garcia. Now retired Shaw and Santana on strikeouts.
Now here's the payoff for Garcia after getting Santana. Now he's got Thames and Vogt. Garcia right now filling up the strike zone.
Yeah, he is in rhythm. Rhythm we have not seen in quite some time, but good to see tonight for Garcia. The young man's after it. 12 pitches, all have served a purpose.
Look at that. Bernie Brewer on alert.
That's right. 30 home runs gets that.
That's tomorrow night. I think Bernie Brewer's on alert right now.
He's Definitely lurking up there.
There were a few Marlin fans that tweeted us the other night. They wanted to see Billy the Marlin up there since it's a home game and see if Billy was allowed to go down the slide. Didn't Jessica talk her way on the slide when we were here earlier this year? 2-2.
I think Bernie's quite territorial when it comes to his dugout, though. I don't know if he would have given it up for the fish. I mean, you see, look, he's got muscle right there. I mean, he's got a bodyguard.
Yeah.
You don't mess with Bernie in his house, do you?
That's how Bernie rolls.
That's right.
That hits the hand of Thames. And so Thames is aboard. Now, speaking of traveling mascots, Billy the Marlin in 2004. Marlins. I don't think so. Marlins and Expos in Chicago. What is it? 4 errors in an inning for the Expos. Paul LaDuca, Miguel Cabrera, and Billy making friends. Bernie's bodyguard. I always felt that Bernie Brewer was modeled after, with hair color and mustache, after Hall of Famer Robin Yount.
Maybe.
He was much more authentic in the old ballpark, in County Stadium. There's Yount's number. In County Stadium, didn't he slid from a chalet into a big beer mug, right?
Yes. It was much colder back then.
Well, yeah, it was outdoors.
That's what I mean. He's got a cozy life here.
So after some treatment, Thames is okay. Vogt is up. And Garcia goes over to first. Vogt a 2-run homer in the second against Urania, continuing his Marlin onslaught this year. We showed you earlier that 2-homer game he had to beat Miami here when the Marlins were first in. Vogt gets that one in the air. Long run for Ozuna, was playing deep. Ozuna thought about throwing to first, but there was no one there.
Bring your family to see the final game of the season on Sunday, October 1st against the Braves. Pick up an Aquafina family 4-pack. They're starting at $84 and get 4 tickets, 4 Nathan's all-beef hot dogs, 4 Pepsi soft drinks, or Aquafina waters. Purchase your tickets at marlins.com/Aquafina.
Tentatively, that Sunday will also be Christian Yelich bobblehead day, because that was to be tomorrow night at Marlins Park. Brett Phillips is up.
Another lefty for Harlan Garcia. So far, so good tonight. Obviously, that one pitch that got up and in on Thames. Phillips an intentional walk his last time up, 0 for 1 on the game.
It's like Jared Hughes is up next out of the bullpen. Said earlier that Craig Counsell has a decidedly right-handed lineup and a lineup he likes to use against lefties. And if you can get multiple innings out of Garcia, he's going to see a lot of lefties because they were in there to face Urania. Unless the Brewers want to make some mid-game swaps.
But he's got to be careful with that because he's hitting for his pitcher just about every time.
That's right. And the arms out of the Marlins pen that the Brewers are probably going to see from here on out are righties. You don't necessarily want to adjust your whole lineup for one pass at Garcia, when for 2-3 innings you're going to be facing Steckenrider and Ellington and those guys.
Right. Speaking of Steckenrider, there he is, loose. Mac taking it easy.
That one fouled off, count 2-2. It's been 2-2 since the second. Stephen Vogt homer. Marlins in the bottom of the second tied it. Nice rally, a Real Muto double, a Bohr RBI single, and then Jose Urena, a looper into right, knocked home Bohr. Good breaking ball. And Garcia walks off the mound, having struck out Phillips. So an inning and a third of scoreless from Marlon Garcia. Bottom six coming up, 2-2. You can't come to Milwaukee without having some racing sausages. Chorizo number 5 is the favorite. Polish behind him, and this was not a race.
Yeah, it was an impressive start. Got out quick, took the lead early, and just put everybody in the dust.
Ever since the Marlins came here with Alfredo Amezaga years back, Chorizo always seems to do well when the fish are in town.
Yeah, makes sense.
Ozuna goes after a high fastball and lifts it in the air. In the shallow right. And it's caught there by Domingo Santana. Well, lefties on the mound for now on both sides. For the Brewers, this is a bullpen game, and Josh Hader came in the 5th as pitcher number 5. He was dominant. He struck out Gordon, he struck out Stan, he struck out Yelich, and now he pops Ozuna out. He's got Real Muto and then Bohr.
That'll in part explain the sub-2 ERA. He's been very good.
Now the 3 teams involved in the National League Central race. Of course, Milwaukee trying to chase down the Cubs. The Cardinals right there as well. The Cardinals and the Cubs played today, and it was 8-2 Cubs, the winner in that emotional rivalry, especially between the fan bases. And so the Cubs, by winning that game, go to 81 and 66. Cardinals fall 4 back. Milwaukee 3.5 back. Brewers need a win here to stay 3 back. But of course, that's not the only race that Milwaukee is involved in. They open play 2.5 behind Colorado for that second wild card spot. Unfortunately for the Brewers, Colorado's up 4-0 over San Diego, bottom 5.
Well, about this time last night, we told you that the Indians were down a run in the 9th. Guess what? They are again.
Hey, guess what? Hader has another strikeout. He's punched out 4 of the 5 he's faced, and all 4 good hitters. Gordon, Stanton, Yelich, now Real Muto.
Yeah, throwing strikes. High velocity fastball. Occasional slider. Just going right at these Marlins hitters right now. Of course, none of them have seen him before. There might be a few guys who have an at-bat or 2 against him.
When you have this many pitchers, there's a dozen of them down in that Brewers bullpen. And you have an off day coming in, it allows even more for the manager to just pick and choose and roll through them. Work 6, 7, 8 guys. Pretty good breaking ball. Bohr takes it, and it counts a ball and a strike.
Solid enough numbers against the lefties this year for Bohr.
He combines, Hader combines, that one was out. The previous one was a strike, so it all evens out with a 1-2 count. He combines funky release point with high velocity.
Well, I think this right here throws people off too, as you mentioned, that little Chris Sale that he does with a little bit more gusto. Watch as he turns, he kind of accelerates through his mechanics. He's slow and deliberate to start, and then all of a sudden the accelerator gets pushed, and he's not just gassing up, he's putting it all the way to the floor.
He strikes out Bohr. That's 5 of 6 in 2 scoreless innings for Josh Hader. 7th inning coming up. 2-2. Four and 2/3, an inning and a third. Good stuff from Harlan Garcia. Now Steckenrider in a 2-2 game opens the 7th. Very lively crowd here tonight. As we talked about, the Marlins and the Brewers learned that these games were going to be moved to Milwaukee late afternoon on Wednesday. So a real hustle to hire staff or get staff scheduled to come in and work. Sell some tickets, get concessions online, get food and beverage and all of that in here, parking attendants, all of those things that you have to have. So here tonight, tomorrow night, and then Sunday afternoon. Hernan Perez is the pinch hitter.
Very nice season. 267, 14 homers, 49 RBIs. Also has 12 stolen bases. Steckenrider's been in a groove himself. Last 3 innings out of the bullpen, a couple of holds, 6 strikeouts, no earned runs. Steckenrider throwing the ball really well of late. Using his fastball at the top of the zone, very effective.
Driven to left and deep. Ozuna there, and he makes a running catch. Perez looks up with some surprise, and Ozuna venturing far to his left. The gaps are not real deep here in Milwaukee.
Unless you're tucked in that corner. You see Marcell Ozuna. Line cutting across the warning track. It's always good to have a couple center fielders out there. And Marcell Ozuna certainly could do that if need be. Great running grab.
Eric Sogard now. And Sogard takes a strike. You see Pat Murphy and Craig Counsell going over the lineup card. And talking to both of those guys about a game like this where you're essentially bullpenning your way through, running through 7, 8 relievers. As you pointed out, there's also a cast of characters that have to pinch hit to keep the game going, and you got to be careful that when you
don't
get
run
down,
out.
or that when you get to the 7th, 8th, or 9th, you've got the pinch hitters you want, and you've got the relievers that you need if the game's tight. Jared Hughes looks like he's next up for the Brewers. Sogard takes a strike. Sogard getting the start at shortstop. Steckenrider misses. Sogard is aboard. Up comes Neil Walker. Well, for the rest of the season, and you've got the Mets series coming up and the Braves series. A ballpark pass will get you in, $29.99 for the rest of the year. And it goes right on your mobile device. Get you access to all those games and the rest of the season, the final 7. For information, download the MLB.com ballpark app or visit marlins.com/pass today.
Walker 1 for 3 in the ball game tonight. Base hit against Urania, also struck out one time. Sogard 3 stolen bases, 3 caught stealing this season. Could see the Brewers potentially start him. Steckenrider takes a little bit longer time to the plate.
Walker takes in. Real Muto on his way out. Neil Walker was a post-trading deadline deal on the 12th of August. Oh, can't believe the Indians lost. Must be panic in the streets of Cleveland after winning 22 straight. The Royals hold on this time and beat the Indians 4-3. Well, on this road trip, if you look past the 2 blowouts of the last 2 nights, you find a lot of difficulty for Miami's bullpen. Steckenrider, who is a strike thrower, as Don Mattingly calls him, has just walked both Sogard and Walker. And the Marlins coaches right now, I think, are pointing to one of the trainers. They want to go out and find out if Steckenrider's okay.
They will.
Gene Basham, one of the Marlins trainers, on his way out. You got the entire infield there too. That's a live shot of the Marlins bullpen. It's synchronized warming up at this point. Everybody's, just in case they need to get loose. The Zumba class is broken out there. So the mystery of Drew Steckenrider right now, it seems to be control and not physical. So there was a fastball for a strike. And it was. Braun doesn't like the call.
It's a good pitch.
Now, do hitters, I'm not singling Braun out, because you see hitters all the time react to balls that are in the zone. And they're not pleased. They are confident that it was not a strike. Do hitters go in and watch the video and say, well, the video must be broken?
No. But you also have to remember what their objective is. And I always find it interesting, like, we watch hitters complain, and I think what fans think is that what they're actually doing is complaining about what they see, and what hitters are really doing is setting up the next pitch so that it doesn't happen again. He's putting it in the back of the mind of the umpire. Steckenrider goes back down to that exact same spot. I don't want to see that call to strike again. So when you say something to him, you're putting it into the home plate umpire's mind. Hey, he thinks that that's a ball. Maybe I can create some doubt in his mind that if he throws that borderline pitch once again, he won't call it a strike. The game of baseball is interesting. It really doesn't benefit you to complain about the call that's already been made, in that it's not going to change.
At some point, though, doesn't a player get a reputation for complaining about every call if that's the case?
Absolutely, right.
Because the umpire goes and watches the video. He gets a scorecard of all the calls.
Correct.
He'll go check that out.
Well, and everybody and every player has his resume. Like we used to say about Tony Gwynn, like Tony would get him all the time, right? Like if Tony Gwynn even looked back at you, do you think the home plate umpire or Tony had the better eye?
1-2 is in. And again, I'm not singling Braun out, because we see hitters across the game.
But that's something you learn to do. Even I learned to do it in my 3rd, 4th, 5th year in the league. You learn to communicate with a home plate umpire, tell them what you think you're seeing and what you feel is going on, but also put it in the back of their mind so that it doesn't happen again. Braun has had a very long history and obviously a good career here in Milwaukee.
He chases a high fastball and strikes out. And that's a big out for Steckenrider. Now he's got Travis Shaw with 2 on and 2 out.
What does Steckenrider do? He gets back to what he's been doing best of late, striking hitters out, particularly at the top of the zone. We've seen JT Realmuto continue to give that kind of that not sitting all the way in the crouch, kind of about 3-4 inches up off his knees right there, looking for that high fastball.
Shaw, big uppercut there. He was struck out by Harlan Garcia with a couple on in the 5th.
A couple of good sliders from Garcia.
Go ahead RBIs in the National League. Stanton at the top of the list, but Shaw is there 4th. High pop back above us. Sounded like it landed on the ribbon board, the little video board right above us. Big bang.
So far for Steckenrider, a great meeting from the training staff. It's got him locked back in.
I wonder if that's ever happened, where the trainer goes out to visit, asks him if are you all right? Yeah, I'm okay. Trainer says, all right, well, you're opening up.
Oh, no doubt. I know that's it's kind of what I was kidding about, really, is what I'm kind of actually glad you said that.
You're opening up. Go get him. Breaking ball, and he struck him out. That was a great visit, because Steckenrider had walked Sogard and Walker, and he punches out Braun and Shaw. Still 2-2. Good visit. Marlins beat the Expos, won the series. Marlins swept the Expos at Iram Bithorn Stadium in San Juan. Swept them at Cellular Fields. Back to Iram Bithorn in Puerto Rico in San Juan. Beat the Mets. Took 2 of 3 there. And of course, the Fort Bragg game last year. Marlins beat the Braves 5-2. So that's Marlins at neutral sites. Toyota Let's Go places. Here's your game summary, and of course, brought to you by Southwest. The Marlins are the home team, so it's bottom 7 in a 2-2 game. Stephen Vogt, who hurt the Marlins earlier this season, 2-run homer. P. Gordon has yet to extend that hit streak. He'll get another opportunity. Brian Anderson's going to lead it off. And a parade of relievers continues. Jared Hughes is in, but Miami doesn't mind because Josh Hader, don't be a hater. Josh Hader, 2 innings, 5 strikeouts. Retired all 6, and that lefty was nasty.
Sure was. Jared Hughes has been pretty good this year. Ground ball machine, 3-1. Ground balls to fly balls. Here's the slider, 87 miles an hour.
Manny Pena is the catcher.
Fastball about 80% of the time. There it is.
Pitch misses in, and Anderson with the count 2-2. Hughes up to get it. And flips on over to first. Anderson, the first out of the bottom of the 7th inning. Miguel Rojas has a couple hits tonight. He had 3 hits in 9 at-bats in the Phillies series.
He's had a very nice road trip. Very productive. And 5 runs.
Ichiro has appeared on deck. Brian Ellington. There's Ichiro. Hughes, pitcher number 6. And it certainly won't be the last. Pena wants it. Look at where he's putting the glove out. And that's exactly where he wanted it. Rarely do you see a catcher put the glove down that far and that low. They'll motion that way, but to just lay it down on the backhand side like that far outside, you don't see that often.
Yeah, you don't want mistakes in a 2-2 ball game here in the 7th. Remember what the Brewers are fighting for. They're in position, trying to make a run. They trail. He goes to the 2-seam fastball and gets the strikeout. You've got to treat these games like they're playoff games, and I'll tell you what, the Brewers fans really seem to see it the same way as they packed it out tonight here at Miller Park.
And that's how Miami has treated this game. You look back to Don Mattingly yesterday. Nice applause for Ichiro. Don Mattingly yesterday not only moved his starter Jose Urena from the Phillies series to here, also gave all of his outfielders an off day. Ichiro got a start in the ball game, went 2 for 3 with a double and a walk. Got 3 home runs this year. Counts 2-0. Little roller up the line. And as Thames gets it and steps on the bag, Miami's done in the 7th. 8th inning now in Milwaukee. 2-2. Home team Miami, road team Milwaukee, at least on the scoreboard. Ryan Ellington into the top of the 8th. Domingo Santana, Eric Thames, and in the pitcher spot. Pitcher spot is sitting in the 7th spot in the order. When Pena came in for vote, Pena ended up in the 9th spot.
Well, that fastball overpowered Santana. Blew up his bat. Watch this.
The funny thing was, on the whip around, not the Fox Sports 1 whip around, but
kinda.
Yeah.
Was that Bo Jackson who broke a bat on his follow through on his back a bunch of years ago?
I know he made kindling of a lot of bats over his knee.
Maybe it was Canseco. I just remembered it similar to that. See, it hit him on his back and he broke it. Well, bats break when you don't hit 100 miles an hour square, and that's what Ellington brings to the table.
Ellington brings 99 to the plate and strikes out Santana. This was a Jose Urena start, 4 2/3. Harlan Garcia then went an inning in the 3rd scoreless. True Steckenrider bobbed and weaved his way through the 7th. Urena gave up the 2 runs, that 2-run homer to Stephen Vogt. Thames was walked, doubled, and was hit by a pitch and on the hands. Drills it right field, deep, and gone. It just got out of here. Number 31.
Well, this young man seems to be heating up at just the right time for the Milwaukee Brewers. Home run number 31, is now homered in 3 consecutive ball games after hitting 1 the previous 19. And yes, he can turn around velocity.
Manny Pena now. Here's a look.
One more time. Center cut fastball.
Count 1-0. Both the scoreboard here at Miller Park and the MLB at-bat app. Liner to center. Had Pena down in the 9 spot and not here in the 7 spot. They had the pitcher in the 7 spot, but it's Pena, and he singles to right.
Yeah, this is not about velocity. This is just about where this location is. Yes, it's high velocity, but you see what Thames can do. He turns it around, and in fact, when you throw, you've got mistakes out over the plate to big league hitters, they're going to do damage. He certainly has been doing damage here in September and all season long. 31 home runs.
Now Don Mattingly is out, and he and the home plate umpire, and I think they're talking about exactly what I was talking about, and that is the pitcher on the app and up on the scoreboard was in the 7 spot. Pena comes up and hits here. Mattingly's not happy, and he's yelling at Bill Miller, the crew chief, and wants to talk to the crew chief. earlier in the inning, I said, hey, the pitcher's due up third.
Right.
And then Pena walked to the plate.
Right.
And the whole scoreboard changed. You know, I was going off what I saw from the scoreboard and from the MLB at-bat app, which has got the box score in it. And so the Marlins dugout not happy here. We did see earlier in the inning Craig Counsell come out and say something to the home plate umpire, but that was long after. That's a half inning after Pena came in to catch, and now Mattingly's coming back. Pena came in and caught.
Right.
So there's now the scoreboard's been corrected with Pena in the 7 spot, but moments ago Hughes was in the 7 spot, Pena was in the 9 spot.
Right. Because Pena came in an inning before this inning.
Right. You can see Pena was in that spot on the Brewers scorecard, and Hughes was in the 9 spot. But that's merely on the dugout. That's not the official scorecard. Now all the umpires are going to get involved. Now the umpires are pointing into the Marlins dugout. You can see Freddie Gonzalez, Tim Wallach, Brian Schneider. And here is Phillips, who is going to step in. So the home run by Thames, the single by Pena, and Phillips hits one. Deep right center. Yelich got it, ran it down, up against the wall, throwing back towards first, and just back into first base is Pena.
Nicely done, Christian Yelich. This is going to test him and his limits. Great read, great break. Watch, instant, one step, gone. He can't forfeit a step to the left or to the right, or he does not catch that. Well done. You see the outstanding fielding percentage for Christian Yelich this year in center field, .997.
Now Craig Counsell's coming out with his scorecard. It's odd that Counsell would come out because it seems that the Brewers got the guys where they wanted, but not where the Marlins wanted.
Yeah. It's the BBC's fault, you know that.
Bullpen by committee.
Correct. See Craig Counsell there scratching, erasing, and marking up. A lot of things going on in this ball game. A lot of moving parts. There you go. Look at that scorecard.
Well, look, I mean, let's be honest. There's too many names on there to begin with. Whether you're the Marlins or the Brewers, you shouldn't have 33, 34. Some teams have 38, 39 guys suited up for games now.
Right.
It's ridiculous. But it's the rule, and so both teams use it as best they can. Jet Bandy, the catcher for the Brewers, is going to hit here. So there really was a catcher in the 9 spot. It was just Jet Bandy. It wasn't Manny Pena. Bandy's been up and down with AAA Colorado Springs a few times.
6 homers, 18 RBIs, 54 games, 1 for 6 as a pinch hitter.
I think the other thing, there should be you can't have 4 catchers, right? The Brewers have 4 catchers.
Hey, listen. The Brewers are throwing around phrases like all hands on deck right now, so they may call on everybody in the organization to try to get back in this thing. And because the rules are what they are currently, right? Like the bargaining agreement, you can do this. You're right. This has been a hot topic for a long, long time in baseball.
Everybody else does. Don Mattingly's still steamed. And seeing as where the Marlins have been of late, Mattingly's fuse is rather short. Pitch is down low. Ellington facing Bandy. If he loses him, it's up to the top of the order and Sogard. Pitch is out. Brewers now at first and second. The Thames homer to right with 1 out here in the 8th. Has given Milwaukee a 1-run lead. Sogard 0 for 3 with a walk. Ellington misses out. Changeup. 89 miles an hour.
Marlins playing Sogard straight up. He's hitting to center field. Tonight for Sogard. Still got a walk. Brewer fans have come to life. Juan Nieves going to head out to talk with Ellington.
Marlins bullpen right now is pretty calm. And so Ellington trying to get out of this inning at this point without a net. A strike. Realmuto's throw. JT has picked off 5 runners, and they've all been at second base this year.
Well, but a perfect opportunity to help Ellington out as he continues to struggle with the strike zone. 1 pitch away from loading the bases.
3-0. On the corner. Actually, it wasn't. Ellington gets a break. Dustin McGowan up now. The best pitch he's thrown in the at-bat right there. It's 3-2.
He's got to be careful. He needs to do that one more time, but the base runners will be moving on this pitch.
Pena from second, Bandy from first. Way outside. Neil Walker now. Brewers are going to pinch run at second base. Orlando Arcia.
The Marlins pitching has been quite fortunate tonight. They've been tap dancing around the walks. Brewers have 6 hits in this ball game. Marlins pitchers have walked 8 Brewers tonight.
Walker singled in the first. A lot of the fans here coming to their feet with the bags loaded. Ellington misses up. Two grand slams in his career. Brian Ellington gets a strike. 2-2 game most of the way. Eric Thames here in the 8th, the 1-out homer. Brewers with a single and 2 walks have loaded the bags. And a 1-1 from Ellington. That's a pretty good pitch. Change up. That was a strike.
Yeah, right at the knees. What typically happens when you don't throw enough strikes, you don't get the borderline pitches. But that's not the deciding pitch in this at bat.
Walker right center and deep and gone.
When you don't throw strikes, you become predictable. When you don't get strikes and fall behind hitters, hitters sit on pitches. Neil Walker sits on a fastball, gets a fastball, gets those arms extended. Gives the Brewers a 5-run lead with his 3rd career grand slam.
Boy, you could sense that coming.
Yeah, a couple of walks. At that moment, you saw the batting average for Walker with the bases loaded. .352 in his career. He kind of keyholes Ellington, forces him to give him something good to hit out over the plate. We continue to talk about that velocity. It is fun to see triple digits. This generation of hitters, they are not overwhelmed by 100 miles an hour any longer. You have to be able to command that fastball.
Braun into right field. That's a hit. Let's go back to the grand slam.
And the pitch before this, the changeup at the knees. As I mentioned, you were hoping that he would get that changeup for a strike. It would have been a 1-2 pitch, a lot of different directions to go. But with the bases loaded and a 2-1 pitch, you've got to challenge with the fastball. The risk of walking in a run is also there. So Ellington challenges. Walker gets those arms extended, and you see what happens next. 3rd career grand slam. Frustrating night for Ellington, who's made some real good strides in this month.
Frustrating night for the Marlins. Florida Lottery called to the bullpen. A frustrating night here in Milwaukee for sure. These are the 2 home runs. First, the solo shot for Eric Thames.
Yeah, let's talk about the margin of error. You see where JT Realmuto wants that pitch. That ball drifts back over the plate. All right, the Brewers take the lead. They get a solo shot from Thames, 31. Now Walker here, this is a lot more about the situation itself and circumstance. You know, Walker sitting on that pitch. Of course, he misses back out over the plate. Think of Aroldis Chapman, some of his struggles in New York. Again, a high velocity guy. High velocity is fun. Listen, we love to talk about triple digits. You've seen this generation. They are starting to turn it around. They hit these fastballs like they are nothing. They go up there looking for 95 to 97 to 100. There's not a whole lot of movement on it, and those pitches are out over the plate too many times, particularly here even in 2017. You're watching balls fly out of the yard.
So it's McGowan now, and the game is at 7-2. A 2-2 game throughout. But Milwaukee has exploded for 5 runs here in the 8th. Liner to right. Stan plays it on a hop. Braun stops at second.
The Brewers have now batted around here in the 8th inning. 5 consecutive base runners.
And right now, I mean, this game is a great example of how Milwaukee is winning right now. Craig Counsell is absolutely piecing it together as he goes, mixing and matching with both lineups, with both bullpen, even with starters. And he's done it again here tonight. He started Jeremy Jeffress. It was only his first major league start after 263 relief appearances. 6 pitchers have worked. We could have at least a couple more for the Brewers from here. And yeah, he's got an expanded roster, but he's using it, and they're not just deep, they're good and deep. Especially in that bullpen, the pen, and you touched on it early, since August, they have the best ERA of any bullpen in the National League. Any.
2.78 coming into tonight. Santana, a strikeout victim his last 3 times up.
Domingo Santana gone. 3-run shot. And the onslaught continues for Bernie and the Brewers.
Well, Bernie's wearing out his britches in this inning. 3rd home run for the Brew Crew. 3-run shot from Santana. Eight-run 8th inning. 10-2 lead for the Brewers. This pitch elevated, fastball at the belt, out over the plate. And with 2 strikes, Santana able to turn it around.
Up there with the Flamingos. With no sunshine. Well, that ties a season high with 8. Brewers going to send up a pinch hitter here. It'll be Keon Broxton. Bouncer to third. Anderson crossed the diamond in time, and a nightmare of a road trip continues for the Marlins. I know they're the home team, but in Milwaukee tonight, the Brewers have a 10-2 lead. Conley and Zach Davies. Conley, an ERA just over 5. Davies had a nice season. 17 wins, a 3.67 ERA. They lost Jimmy Nelson, did these Brewers, a big piece of their rotation week and a half ago. Davies takes the ball tomorrow. Adam Conley will be on the mound for Miami. 10-2. The Marlins, who were pounded the last 2 nights, 8-1 and 10-0. This was a 2-2 game. Don Mattingly comes out with his scorecard, and he and the home plate umpire Ryan Addington again going over the scorecard. This was a point of contention and a heated one last inning. And Mattingly's still not happy. And that's, I think he's saying that's 2 times. And he's been tossed. And you knew he wanted to be. He's been upset with Addington and the substitutions all night. This is the second time he's come out and challenged with the scorecard. And he's waiting for Bill Miller, the crew chief, to come down from third, and he'll get a little piece of him too. And a lot of this is what's just bubbling up, the frustrations that the Marlins, that Mattingly have had in this awful stretch where they've dropped 15 of 17 games. They've blown leads. They've had games like this that they were in, and all of a sudden the game goes sideways on them.
It certainly feels like it's piling up for the Marlins right now. You can talk about the extended trip that they're on here in Milwaukee. It's been a very, very difficult road trip for the team. You finally find yourself in a ball game. 2-2 through 7. And the thunder comes out for the Brewers as they homer 3 times in the 8th. A lot of frustration.
And so Mattingly will turn the scorecard over to Tim Wallach, the bench coach. D. Gordon in the box. And some changes out in the field, a lot of them actually for the Brewers. First and foremost on the mound is Anthony Swarzak. Gordon fouls it off. Neil Walker moves to first. Arcia is now at shortstop. Sogard is at second. Eric Thames is out of the ball game.
One sprayed foul. Swarzak acquired from the White Sox. July 26th. Very nice season going on for the Sox. 4-3, 2.23 ERA.
There's only one way out of this for Miami, quite honestly, and that's to play better.
Yeah. Well, that's just it. Nobody, we've talked about this many times in different ways. This game.
Gordon hits it hard on the ground. That's Sogard on to Walker.
First out here in the 8th. Yeah, there's no mercy in this game. You have to pick yourself up off the mat and get back into the fight. That's the way it works. The teams don't back off. They don't let up.
Florida Lottery in-game jackpot. This is the lineup. Now, remember, they started a relief pitcher as well, so you could really add a guy up there. That was Jeffers, who went 2 innings. Then Barnes, then Wong, Guerra. Hader was nails. He struck out 5 in 2 innings. Hughes for an inning, and Swarzak here. Here is Stanton. He takes a breaking ball for a strike. Greg Counsell has made great use of this expanded roster. Stanton, a sharp ground ball. Arcia across the diamonds. Stanton across the bag, and he'll probably get a base hit out of it.
Well, as he should. That would have been a highlight reel play. Stanton gets a slider, bangs it in the hole. Arcia down to a knee. Up, strong throw across, short hop to Neil Walker. Unable to come up with the throw.
Yelich now. The Marlins have just 6 hits tonight and 2 runs. And the Brewers, their 3rd bullpen game. They won the first 2, and they're on their way here again.
And 4 of those hits came in the 2nd inning. So only 2 hits over the rest of the ball game. This offense starting to look like what it looked like over the last 2 ball games, which was shut down.
Yelich fouls that one out of play. Eight runs in the 8th, 3 homers in the 8th. A grand slam by Neil Walker in the 8th. 3-run shot by Domingo Santana.
A good take by Yelich. Swarzak's going to throw that slider over 50% of the time, a little bit more than his fastball.
2 more up in Milwaukee's bullpen. And to count 1 and 2. Colorado game is now in the bottom of the 8th, and the Rockies have a 6-1 lead over the Padres. That's certainly of interest to the Brewers as they're trying to run down Colorado in the wild card. Yelich strikes out. Ozuna's 0 for 3. Atlanta beat the Mets 3-2. I told you earlier Cleveland's win streak is over. The Royals 4-3. Strike to Ozuna. Oakland shut out the Phillies 4-0.
I mentioned at the beginning of the ball game, one thing that might be the Achilles heel of this now dynamic Brewers bullpen. They'll walk a few hitters. 244 coming into tonight. That leads all of baseball. They've walked one Marlins hitter, Christian Yelich, 1 walk tonight.
Miami's outburst came in the 2nd. 4 hits. Realmuto double. Single by Justin Bour to knock in a run. A Rojas hit. And Jose Urena with an RBI base hit. Arcia flips on to Sogard at 2nd. Miami's done in the bottom of the 8th. 10-2 Milwaukee. Low fares, nothing to hide. By the all-new Jeep Compass. And by your South Florida Honda dealers, hurry into the Summerbration sales event today. (10-2) Brewers on top. It's the 9th. Dustin McGowan's going to stay out there. And frustrations continue for the Fish. Now look, losing in walk-off fashion's no fun, and the Marlins lost 4 games on this road trip, all 3 in Atlanta, the 1st in Philly. But since that first game in Philly, in which the Marlins lost, they've been outscored 28-3. Manny Pena, who was in the middle of the whole lineup disagreement between the Marlins bench and Ryan Addington, the home plate umpire, and the rest of the umpiring crew. The Marlins felt, much like the scoreboard reflected, much like MLB at bat reflected, that Pena was in the 9 spot, and when he came up in the 7 spot and singled, Don Mattingly came out with his card and was pretty hot. Mattingly would come out the next inning and was upset about something else. There's a fly ball in the shallow left that dies in there for a hit as Manny Pena is aboard. It'll be interesting, and certainly stick around for Marlins Live, because the clubhouse sound, and in particular Don Mattingly's press conference, will be of interest. Number one, to get clarity as to what the disagreement was from the Marlins bench. But number two, just to hear the emotions. Mattingly's been very candid the last couple ball games.
A lot of frustration.
Brett Phillips is up.
Lost in some of this. You start to kind of recollect how this entire season is gone, and I think you can see it in Giancarlo's look, even in his facial expression, and the frustration that we've seen on this road trip. So much had been gained from what had been lost in May. June, July, and August were incredibly positive months for so many people on this team. The bats, innings, pitches, strikeouts, wins, many good things were really starting to happen. You had the All-Star game, the home run derby, all those things were very positive for this organization and for a lot of individuals. And what has happened in the last 3 weeks, a lot of that has now been re-lost again. And I think you're really starting to see it in the body language on the field. And as a player, this is incredibly difficult to go through. Think about this.
Roller up the middle, and it gets off Gordon. Whoa!
Nice play.
What a recovery by D. Gordon. I don't know if McGowan got a piece of that, but it rolled almost by Gordon, and he caught the ball. I mean, caught up to the ball and whipped it right around. Let's watch this.
And he lost the ball. Watch, he has it, knocks it down, and then goes to the backhand, with the backhand throw being right on the bag. How about that, D? Well done. You know, as a player, this is just incredibly difficult to go through on a daily basis. When your at-bats are spaced out by 30-minute innings on defense and things that are breaking down in other phases of your team, it's just the frustration starts to grow, and you as a player can take on so much, and the group can take on so much for periods of time. But when things, much like tonight's ball game, happen,
oh, that one off of McGowan. I'm not sure what it hit. Let's hope it was his glove.
You know, everybody out to check on him. This is a rocket off the bat. Looks like it catches him in the right pocket.
Well, McGowan, you see in that left pocket is his insulin pump.
Right.
He is a type 1 diabetic. You can see it hits him in the other pocket, which is fortunate. I guess if you're a pitcher and you're going to get hit, it's just like a hitter, right? I mean, that's where if you're a hitter and you're going to wear one, that's where you want to take
a little extra padding
in the wallet.
That's right,
as they say. Sogard. Bouncer, Gordon backing up, has it. Rojas turn. That's a nice double play. Good turn by Miguel Rojas. Nice start by D. Gordon. TV every night, every device. Watch every out-of-market regular season game live and get a free subscription to At-Bat Premium, the #1 app for live baseball. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.tv for details. Young and old here in Milwaukee.
Well, they're getting their vibe on tonight here in Milwaukee. The Brewers have erupted offensively, and it's seemingly brought everybody to life in this building.
And why not one more reliever out of the Brewers bullpen?
That's appropriate, right?
Aaron Wilkerson. And he was just called up from AAA Colorado Springs. This is his major league debut. Had a really nice season in AA Biloxi and was a starter in Biloxi. So for Aaron Wilkerson, it's a big moment. JT Realmuto here in the ninth. Realmuto double back in the second. Dodgers shut out the Nationals tonight 7-0. You had noted that the Nationals were creeping closer to the Dodgers for home field advantage. So Dodgers get round one.
Early. Jumped all over Edwin Jackson. That game was 6-0 after 2 innings.
And Alex Wood was untouchable. He's now 15-3 with an ERA of 2.69. Wilkerson, in his major league debut, strikes out the first hitter he faces.
Well, stays away. Combination of fastballs and sliders, able to put JT Realmuto away with a fastball on that outside corner. See it right there.
Toss that baseball out of play. Here's Bohr. Well, the good times are rolling in Milwaukee right now. The Brewers are about to go to 78-69. This will be win number 6 out of their last 7. Justin Bohr, a high fly ball to right. And it's caught there. Brett Phillips out in right field. Here's Anderson now. Ryan Ellington, who pitched in that ill-fated 8th inning, still out there, still in the dugout. To his credit, count 2-0. Said earlier in the night, the Marlins are just trying to stop this snowball of losing from rolling downhill. And right now, it's an avalanche pace.
Well, you know, your fear of those losses in Atlanta was that this could potentially happen. And a lot of times is what happens. You lose games that you believe were yours. Obviously, you lose a couple of them late, you get walked off. I've seen this happen. I've lived through it. And what you have to do is almost come full circle and get back to playing those games again where you're competing. You're making great defensive plays and you're trying to win ball games and getting some better pitching along the way as well.
Well, this ball game belongs to the Brewers. An 8-run 8th inning with 3 homers, a 3-run shot, a grand slam, and a solo homer. Milwaukee powers its way with 4 home runs total. Stephen Vogt, remember, had the 2-run shot in the second. And the final is 10-2 Milwaukee. And just an awful road trip for the Fish continues here. Marlins Live is coming up. We'll have Don Mattingly from the clubhouse as well. Stick around.